Oh wow! I mean, considering this is 269.
Yeah.
Nooch, natch, giggity.
Giggity.
It made sense that we opened with an oral sex act.
Yeah.
Really. I don't know about you. I think this should be all foreplay.
What act and on whom will leave to your imaginations.
Suffice it to say, there is another person in the room.
Is another.
Who am I supposed to have sex with now? You've sent the boy away. The boy I've been grooming from beyond the grave.
There is another.
Oh, good. That frog over there. Oh, well, you know, I'm dead now. What, is someone going to cancel me on Twitter?
I've seen Book of Mormon.
Oh, do you remember theatre?
Don't I? Well, I've been in theatres this weekend.
Oh God, you have, yeah. Right. Oh, by the way, hi everyone. Big Damn Cast, pop culture, nerd, geek, shit, whatever. I'm the one called Chris.
I'm the one called Matthew.
And Matthew's, you've been away. You went on a what the kids are now calling, to mask the pain of the lack of freedom around the world, a staycation.
It's not a staycation. A staycation is when you stay at home. It's not when you stay in your country of origin.
So you didn't go glamping then?
I didn't go glamping. Went to a very nice.
I hate that word.
I went to a very nice B&B about a mile out of Edinburgh. Yeah, it sounded a bit like that.
Did you stay in the B&B?
No, we just went there and had a look.
Oh, so you didn't staycation in the B&B? Okay.
We slept there. And we had breakfast there.
Yeah.
That's all we did.
For a whole 5 days? You
For a whole 5 days.
breakfast.
We were only there for 2 nights.
But it felt like...
We went up to Edinburgh, we saw a couple of shows at the Fringe, we ate in some nice restaurants, and we came home.
What restaurant did you eat in, he says, offering you a slice of... Bourneville. Ooh.
We ate a couple of places in the shadow of the castle.
That sounds like the heaviest metal album never recorded, and I appreciate it.
We ate a lovely place called the Whiskey Rooms.
Oh,
when I partook of their lobster mac and cheese.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Lobster in a rich mac and cheese made from cheddar, Gruyere, and Stilton.
See, that would disagree with me. I only eat poor mac and cheese.
Nice.
Poverty-ridden mac and cheese.
And then at the Cole Townhouse on the night after, I partook of
many meats.
A Holyrood pizza.
What is a Holyrood pizza, and can we talk about it without being removed from striking the terms of service? It's
a peppercorn sauce base.
Fuck off.
With your normal cheese.
Steak base. Like steak.
No.
Steak style dressing base.
Instead of tomato sauce, it's the peppercorn sauce.
Oh.
With cheese and haggis.
So is there any tomato?
No.
What the living shit? Is that a pizza then?
Yeah,
then again, I guess barbecue sauce base has become more common.
In Japan, they have mayonnaise-based pizzas.
Yeah, but in Japan they do a lot of things.
Well.
A lot of things which we love, and a lot of things which will break the terms of service. The last time you all went to Edinburgh was with us, right? 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Just before this fucking barrel started rolling.
Yeah. Just before.
So what I'm saying is, now you're back.
Yeah.
Are you going to start a podcast with someone else you went to Edinburgh with? And do I need to prepare myself for a breakup?
No. You're all right. You're safe.
Okay. I'm worried that whenever you go to Scotland, you'll always come back with a new cis white guy to record a podcast with.
I have been to Scotland since Edinburgh the first time, just not to Edinburgh again. I went to Inverness in 2018.
Oh, but that's fine. Inverness is fine. You're not going to find anything creative in Inverness.
Yeah, it's the smallest city in Britain.
Yeah, exactly. So just statistically, you're not going to find anything creative on a scale of other cities to others.
No.
If anyone listening to this is from Inverness and is like, hey, I'm a creative, fuck you, you're lying. Anyway, we've got stuff to talk about this week. We are going to...
Have we?
Yeah, well... Do we ever have stuff to talk about? We've got some pop culture newsy stuff to touch on, but we've mostly got emails to catch up on. We're going to talk in depth about What If Episode 1, because obviously we recorded before it came out last week, and it's a little cheeky little week-by-week review.
Do you think our chat about What If will be longer than the episode itself?
Very easily. Very easily that's the case. We're also going to talk a little bit about superhero video games and how some of them completely miss the fucking point. Yeah, boy. Algorithm pleasing. Bet you thought the thumbnail was a mislead. Nah, it's just non-specific. Because we're recording this on the Year of Our Lord, Tuesday the 17th, about an hour and a half before the War for Wakanda update is supposed to drop on consoles and Steam. Square Enix's, Marvel's, live services, bottom of the barrels, Avengers.
Gone back to that fucking poison well, have you?
Yeah, well here's the problem. I sort of get paid money to talk about video games now, and I kind of have to touch on this.
Well, here's the problem. This one time, I trapped my nuts in the door, and I enjoyed it so much that I keep doing it.
How did you know exactly what my review for Avengers was? Oh god, yeah. So Marvel's Avengers came out last year. Live service model with a story, like with a story mode, a big campaign. Problem was, the campaign devolves into live service missions for the second half, with the occasional cutscene furthering the story, and then an admittedly pretty cool boss fight at the end.
I hear it's grindtastic.
It's so the Kamala stuff's really fun. The opening fangirl storyline where she's younger and at this Avengers event and stuff is really cute. Then 5 years later, gotta get the band back together. This plot has been done to death by every possible genre happens. And then the final boss fight against... Spoilers for a video game that's nearly a year old. MODOK and a giant kaiju-sized Kree Sentinel, Kree sort of security drone robot thing, is pretty great, because in that section you switch between all then 6 members of the team, and their distinct abilities lend to a really fun 6-part final boss fight that lasts about 50 minutes. Culminating in Ms. Marvel growing near kaiju-sized and punching the shit out of this Kree sentry.
I love an embiggen into Ms. Marvel.
It's great. It's really, really cool. And then you go, great, I can't wait to play the online campaign and see this ever-evolving live service game that's going to take us to new locations and introduce new superheroes. They say that they're going to be showing up once a month. Every month there'll be a new hero, and some of them come with new storylines. They all come with new mission types, and this is going to be really cool. 11 months later, we are now just getting our 3rd new hero.
Some of that's got to be due to COVID, though.
Partially.
Got to be.
A lot of it is due to the teams behind the game at Square Enix and Eidos. Not Eidos. Crystal Dynamics. Eidos are the good team that work with Square Enix nowadays.
No, Eidos are not a publisher anymore.
No, but they've had develop.
No, they don't. Eidos were only ever a publisher.
No, Eidos Montreal are a development house, though, because they made Shadow of the Tomb Raider for Crystal Dynamics. For Square Enix.
Oh, okay.
Because Crystal were working on Avengers.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably just another... it's an extension of Crystal with a different department using an old name that we all remember fondly.
It's still all owned by Square Enix.
Yeah, oh god, yeah.
But it's you know...
It's a rare rebellion. It's one of these situations where the studio you love doesn't exist anymore, but the name's being used to help make stuff.
Made Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I don't think you can call them that good.
Hey, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is and maybe I'm in the minority, a vast fucking improvement over Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider. I really like Shadow of the Tomb Raider compared to them.
Is it because you have a white savior complex?
Okay, the storyline's problematic. Because not only is she a white savior, she's the white fucking destroyer.
Yeah.
And then she's a white savior. But it's also weird because it's the first 2 games shy away from ever definitively saying mysticism is definitely a thing, maybe.
Yeah.
And then the 3rd one's something no, it's definitely a thing, and Lara's fucking useless. And it's oh.
I don't know. I think the mysticism towards the end of the first one is pretty fucking...
I mean, do you ever see a goddess? No, you have storms and your mate is screaming while there's lightning. the middle of the first game has that great supernatural twist where like that plane starts to get away and then lightning hits it out of nowhere and it's like, okay, so there is a supernatural element, but those first two kind of don't want to commit to that Tomb Raider series is never going to have a skinless doppelganger or a T-Rex or like stuff like that in it. It was never going to have things like that. And then the third one finally leans into that more and also is fucking colourful. Like, the set pieces in the third one are nice to look at compared to the first two, which are just barren and shitty and muddy and, like, frostbitten, but, like, with an extra saturation turned-down filter over the whole thing.
The game is colourful, but its politics are very white.
How do you know what my review for Shadow of the Tomb Raider is? But, like, so anyway, so, like... so, yeah, Avengers is sort of... The teams have doubled down in trying to fix the bugs because it's a slog to play. It's very repetitive.
Why do you keep doing it?
Well, I don't. I've gone back to it twice since finishing it.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice,
shame on you too.
Don't get fooled again.
Yeah. Wait, hang on. So I completed the game in September, and I played the War Table for a couple of weeks afterwards and realised, I hate this. I think the only thing I'm enjoying about it is playing as Natasha, because Black Widow's skill set and moveset is really fun. Like, it's just heavy gun use, really good hand-to-hand combat, and decent grapple hook traversal made for fun environmental play. But I also realised that it was a game I was playing mindlessly while listening to podcasts. So it was sort of that beautiful marriage of, I just want to do some melee stuff, but I also want to listen to, like, the Weekly Planet. So this game sits comfortably in that middle bracket. I can play this while listening to stuff and not giving it my full attention. I returned to the Mines of Moria in April when I went away to do Cinderella Live again. I took my PS4 with me, and I downloaded the update, and I played the Kate Bishop mini storyline. And Kate Bishop, so Hawkeye Jr., Hawkeye 2, Too Fast, Too Hawkeye, Too Hawk, Too Eye. And then because I downloaded it after the next thing, I played Future Imperfect, the Clint Barton storyline, which was longer. It was like a good sort of 3-ish hours of this extra story with time travel, an old man Hawkeye, and the Maestro. So a new villain, finally. Because all the War Tables had done is we had a Thor clone. We had, like, a version of... Do you remember the Hydra version of the Avengers? From the sort of the Breakout era? And they're basically... And there was only a few of them, but there's, like, an Iron Man that was green and a Captain America that's green, and they've got, like, Hydra symbols on their chests instead. They're only in, like, a few storylines. They popped in, like, a Spidey storyline and an Avengers storyline. Yeah, it was an interesting idea. It was just Hydra basically, like, experimented on some soldiers, giving them some armour, and like, right, you're Thor, you're Captain America, and they had, like, names, but they were never played off as, like, you know, we're going to be around for ages.
Well, everyone has names, Chris. Everyone's given a name when they're born.
No, I mean, code names, you bugger. But they were, and there's like I think it was Hawkeye. I think it was 4 of them. So it was like Thor, Hawkeye, Iron Man, Captain America, and they were in an Avengers storyline, and then they rocked up in a Spidey storyline during the JMS run to, like, sort of wrap up their thing. And then they've probably popped up elsewhere at some point. But, like, there was a version of that in this. It was a super adaptoid that was green. Sort of looked a bit like Iron Man, had a shield like Cap, had a Thor like Mjolnir hammer.
A Thammer.
So that's fucking hell. So that's that thing, right?
Yeah.
Then Taskmaster clones, so taller Taskmasters with giant health bars. Abomination clones that exude poison while you fight them. Keep in mind, Adaptoids, Taskmaster, and Abomination are all bosses in the main storyline. So, recycled. Mech suits, which were a recycling of the Monica Rappaccini Scientist Supreme boss fight between her and an undercover Natasha in the storyline. You get rumbled and Monica shows up in a mech and you have to fight her, which was great because at that point it was the first time you were playing as a not very superpowered character.
Yeah.
So you had to deal with a mech as Natasha. It was like, this is fun! This is a challenge! I'm enjoying this! And a Kree sentry has shown up in the War Table at some point as a thing to fight in a boss fight. So that's 5 things from the main campaign, reused and slightly repackaged for the ongoing War Table. MODOK isn't reused, because that's a story point.
Yeah.
But they'd reuse them if they could. And then with the Hawkeye DLC, Future Imperfect, we finally got our first new supervillain. The Maestro.
We can't have been that different from the Abomination, though.
But that's the thing. It's just the Hulk in a different skin.
Yeah.
And so you're just fighting the Hulk. So it's not a new villain. You're just fighting a fucking character that you can play as. So they've not offered anything new. Now, the reason I'm bringing all of this up in the first place is because this week I will have played, by the time you're listening to this, War for Wakanda, which is the first actual proper expanded campaign for the game. Free of charge. There was rumours early on that the longer campaign expansions would be like maybe a $3.99 DLC payment or something. Yeah. But the amount of time they've made people fucking wait, I think they've just gone, we can't do that. We can't charge people. We have to make it free. Because otherwise they're just going to be even more annoyed at us. Early reviews for this have been, for the demos that have been played, tech demos, have been positive. Not glowing, but have all said, do you know what? Can't wait to get my hands on the full thing. Because T'Challa plays great. And that's one strength of the games. When you click with a character's playstyle, you click with them. Yeah. Like, they could be really... For me, Black Widow, Kamala Khan, and Captain America are sort of the three that I've managed to like get to grips with and really enjoy. Kate Bishop, too, to an extent. But she and Hawkeye are the same. Kate Bishop's just got slightly more interesting moves. But, like, I can't play Iron Man for shit. I hate him. Hulk is so underpowered. Even as I upgrade him, he's underpowered. Thor is janky as balls. It's like if Kratos got absolutely shit-faced and then went, just put me in the game! Put me in the game! I can make it work! It's like, no, you can't. Like, I played God of War after I played Marvel's Avengers, and I was like, this is a much better Thor control scheme.
Well, I mean, God of War is a much better
game, full stop.
Most things than most things, you know what I mean? So...
And these guys know that because they've pinched the voice of Kratos from 2018. Christopher Judge is T'Challa in this game. We have an actual new supervillain. We have Ulysses Klaue.
Interesting.
Voiced by, I think, Steve Blum, who's not attempting a South African accent. He's sort of going for a American with sprinkle of European villain, unquote, kind of voice.
Attempting a South African accent. He just embodies it.
But they've gone for a Klaue that looks very Andy Serkis-y. And I was like, okay, new villain. Different, there are different opponents. Doesn't appear like... Because I was like, well, if you're going to set in Wakanda, let's have like the Jabari tribe. Do you know what I mean? Bring in some human opponents. Based on the trailer, there are giant spiders. I was like, oh shit. Based on the new footage, they're giant AIM drones that look like spiders. I'm like, so it's more fucking AIM drones. Again! So that's annoying. Setting, apparently really nice and pleasant. Like, it's cool to be in Wakanda. There's jungles, there's sort of, like, grassland kind of areas to have fights in. I'm like, okay. But then I dipped back in the other day, getting ready for it. Like, okay, I'll re-familiarise myself with it. Play some of the Cosmic Cube storyline, by the way, which is a new storyline. It lasts an hour and a half, and the villain is Monica fucking Rappaccini and clones of herself, so it's still not new. It's also the most unbalanced boss fight I've ever played in my life. And after 17 attempts, I went, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. This isn't me being shit. This is the boss fight just not working. And I went online, I was like, am I the only one who's getting stuck? Did a little bit of a Google. All I could find about it is some people doing a how-to guide on how to beat it, and nothing else. No one talking about how much they like it, no one talking about how much they hate it, no one talking about how it's broken, no one talking about how they found it easy. No one's talking about it. It came out between Easter and now, a separate storyline. They added new content and no one's talking about it. But they're talking about this one.
Except you.
Exactly.
At length.
It's weird. Well, here's the thing. You go on about it. You go on about it like I'm sort of always talking about this game. Keeks bullies me for it. Whenever I bring it up, she's like, yes. Christopher, the game can't hurt you if you don't play it.
Of course she bullies you
But that's the thing. This is my third visit into it in a year. Like, the initial playthrough... The Hawkeye DLC, the 2 Hawkeye DLCs at Easter, and now I put it on the other night to just play around a bit before War for Wakanda, just to re-familiarise myself with how it is, because I've been playing a lot of open world combat games lately. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going in doing bloody Saints Row or Spiderman controls.
Fair.
And I'm just amazed at how fundamentally broken at its core the game is. Because the PS to the Wakanda thing, and again, I might play it and enjoy it after this. I'm playing it this evening as of this recording. I might play it and enjoy it. But do you know what the final boss fight is based on the trailers?
Is it?
Klaue merges with the Kree Sentry.
Sure.
So it's just the Kree sentry, but it's red and has a purple hand, and you're like, oh, it kind of looks like Claw. Kill me, fucking shoot me in the face. The game is fundamentally broken on a technical level, but also just as an Avengers game. Like, if you want an Avengers game, you kind of want couch co-op, or to pick one character and fight alongside your teammates. You imagine that means fighting swathes of faceless enemies, armies of stuff, sure, but you still want to tackle a big supervillain threat every now and again, like an actual supervillain threat, or a team of supervillains. Fuck, could you imagine if suddenly you were up against like just 3 supervillains in one fight? That'd be interesting. That'd be something that necessitates 6 superhero characters. Well, 4 on screen at any one time in the game.
Yeah.
You can do online co-op, but it's still the same janky-ass boring mission of fight these drones, fight these drones, fight these drones, Abomination clones, fight these drones, which is the least dope mix track ever.
Yeah, that's taking the funk out of me right now.
But also the Avengers is about coming together for the greater good and working together to do something that can't be done alone. And yet the game is about Kamala Khan desperately trying to get this bunch of sad sacks to team up again to fight an obvious evil.
Come on,
and they're all reluctant to do it.
We've got to do one last big gig to save the community centre.
We don't even. The most interesting development for like where they all are now is Thor, and he doesn't even get a storyline. He's in the opening, and then he joins them during a fight on a helicarrier because he saw that there was commotion, so he rocks back up to be like, right, you clearly all need my help. And it's like, yay, Thor! It's played as a yay, Thor moment. And it's funny because he arrives in a fucking, in a blue sort of like tech team nerd crew kind of t-shirt with a sticker on it saying, hello, my name is Donald. So like, that one visual cue is more interesting than what a lot of them have actually been up to. Do you know what I mean? It's like, wait, he's been trying to blend in and got like a tech job at a fucking Applebee's
He's an
a fucking
Apple
Apple
genius.
store or a Target or something. Like, that's funny. Are we going to talk about it? No character brings it up. It's like, that's... God damn it. And it got me to thinking, there are many times in superhero games just kind of miss the point. Like, really miss the point. For every Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man and X-Men Legends, there's a Superman Nintendo 64. Or any arcade game featuring these characters, let's be honest.
Yes.
So what do any, aside from Square Enix's, Marvel's, what the fuck are we doing is Avengers, aside from that game, what ones come to mind to you as being fundamentally tone deaf or blind to the source material?
I think superhero games were basically tone deaf to the source material until like the PS2 era. Like, because if you go back and you look at the stuff that was coming out, you've got it's side-scrolling beat 'em up with this character in it. Like, so you go back and there's just so many of those because there's the arcade style ones like the Punisher game, which also had Nick Fury in it because you needed two players, and there was an Avengers one of those as well. Captain America and the Avengers. You had the Konami X-Men. You had several Batman ones. Batman Returns, Batman Forever. You had like the sort of platformery beat 'em ups that you got on the consoles, like the Sunsoft Batman games, like the various and sundry Spider-Man games that were on Mega Drive and SNES, Maximum Carnage, things like that. There was a good Mega CD one, but nobody has a Mega CD. I think it was Spider-Man vs. Kingpin.
Another one that had like 8 different versions.
It had early open world elements, if I recall correctly.
And if you cock up Mary Jane, who for some reason is kidnapped, is dropped into a vat of acid.
Sure, why not?
And that's the bad ending if you fuck up the last level. And then that's the ending, you can't replay it.
Good.
Like, what the fuck?
I think one of the most infamous and just laughably bad superhero games in terms of something that just misses the point completely is Superman for the N64.
So, the plot, from what I recall, is Lex Luthor seizes control of Metropolis with a bunch of, like, technology, and he forces Superman to be contained in a simulation to basically put him out of action. So you as Superman for the majority of the game are trying to get out of the simulation of Metropolis by flying through rings.
Fly through my maze.
Like, you fucking what, mate?
Sure.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, can leap tall buildings in a single bound. Can't wait to play as this guy. What are we going to do? Fly through my maze.
Sure, alright.
Okay. Can I fight any bad guys? Yes, but like only a few times in very, very stagnated boss encounters.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there is a lot of that. Up until, like I say, the PS2 era.
Fly through my ring, Superman.
Yeah, please.
I mean,
please
that at least would be that. You know, the new context.
The slash. So, but I think a lot of it, including that, is kind of up to a lot of the stuff. A lot of the characters, they didn't really have the technology to let you do what you wanted to do with those characters. It wasn't until you got for Batman, for example. It wasn't until you got It wasn't until you got Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Really. And there was elements of what they would do in Arkham Asylum in stuff like the Batman Begins licensed game, the prototype for the Dark Knight that people have messed around with.
Yeah. Dark Tomorrow is not a good game, but it was the first one where story-wise they were like, let's lean into the comic book kind of world a bit more and really go for it. And just
they're the ones that are sort of based on the animated series, isn't it?
No, Dark Tomorrow is the... It was its own thing. It's got like a very gothic art style.
Oh, okay.
The one based on the animated series is Rise of Sinzu and Vengeance. Yeah, well remembered.
Yeah,
well bloody remembered. Because
I had Vengeance briefly.
I think I stared at the front cover of Vengeance in Asda at Trafford for months, going, I kind of want that, but I also don't.
But it is also just sort of like a sort of trashy beat 'em up, essentially.
Yeah,
like character brawler, and none of those. I think.
The PS1 era's got a couple of like Spiderman and Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro.
Actually, yeah, they were sort of one of the first sets of games to actually leverage the idea of what you could do with that character.
And that's mostly because it's very, very linear, set levels.
Yeah. That
utilize his unique skill set as a playstyle. So you have to sneak through the bugle offices by crawling on the ceiling. You have to web these bombs up so that they the explosions contend. It's very much like, oh, these are things that only Spider-Man does, so let's make Spider-Man do them.
You can draw a direct line from that through the Raimi movie games, which build on those
the first
ideas.
one especially is like very much a spiritual sequel to those two games.
And
right down to alternate playstyle. Like those two had alternate what-if campaigns. If you activated the cheat. You finish the game and then activate the cheat, and you could play the what-if campaign. And same with that one. Like you finish it on whatever mode, you activate the cheat, and you play the story again as the Green Goblin, but Harry.
Yeah.
And it's every level's the same, but the dialogue's different, and the voiceovers are all different, and it's him going through the events of what happened to investigate what happened to his dad using the Goblin tech. And you're like, that's clever, because then the playstyle's completely different. The Goblin is a completely different playstyle than Spider-Man. It's like, that's genius! Like, and he's doing things that only the Goblin can do.
Because he's not Spider-Man, and he's not a cockblocker.
You're the Daredevil. You're a bunch of cockblockers.
So...
Pablo Francisco, stand up. Go look it up, thank you.
At the same time as they were doing that, you were getting a lot of other games that were just whiffing it completely.
I think we both have a fondness for, like, X-Men Next Dimension, X-Men Academy 2, but, like...
Yeah, but they're not...
They're beat-em-ups.
They're Street Fighter style beat-em-ups. Like, they're not... And by the same token, you get something like Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects.
Fuck yeah, that was a beat-em-up as well, with some platforming like sections. Because I've got the PS2 and PSP versions of that.
Yeah.
PSP's better, because as a handheld game, it's like, this is impressive for a handheld. For the PS2, it's just like, the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's just, what actually is this?
Why am I playing a beat-em-up?
Why are you playing a beat-em-up?
Who are the Imperfects?
Who are the Imperfects?
Not very interesting.
No one knows or cares.
I think they appeared, like, jokingly in a comic like a year later.
Yeah, probably.
And it was like, there they are! Ha 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 ha! Remember these fuckers?
I think there was a comic, there was like a mini comic included with the game, wasn't there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Of course there was. Because,
Yeah. But it was, a lot of them were beat 'em ups. And Marvel v Capcom sort of escapes it because that's more of a licensing beat 'em up game anyway.
Yeah, but I think it does kind of count in terms of superhero games that miss the point.
Yeah,
because I think Injustice sort of avoids missing the point because it leans so heavily into the narrative.
And the script for both the story campaigns are so brilliantly executed. Yeah. They're two of my favourite DC adaptations in the last 10 years.
DC loved doing an evil Superman story.
Yeah, but I didn't notice how much they were doing that when I was playing Injustice.
Oh no, it didn't.
So
really
to me, it was an interesting, fresh sort of this is cool.
The push for evil Superman in other media didn't really happen until after Injustice.
Yeah, and that's why I don't hate number 2, because number 2's not about evil Superman. It's hey, so let's stick in this world and assess what happens to these people next, and Kara's the main character, and and based on your ending, it either ends with Superman doing something horrible and assuming control of everybody, or him being locked away again to think about what he's done.
Think about what you've done, Clark.
Yeah, bastard.
But
again, Injustice is sort of, and also it's kind of slips through. It gets a bit more forgiveness because it was road testing the future of Mortal Kombat, essentially.
Yes.
DC Universe versus Mortal Kombat, which is not great, comes out. And then Injustice happens after that.
No, MK9
happens, yeah. Then Injustice. Then MK10. Sorry, MKX. And then Injustice 2. And then MK11. It's okay, so what's happening here is this series is sort of just the alternate Mortal Kombat. Every other release is a DC release and then a Mortal Kombat. Sure, okay,
and they're just sort of feeding back into each other.
Whereas Marvel vs. Capcom shits the bed with Infinite, the first one that attempts a proper storyline outside of just caption pictures at the end of the arcade mode.
Yeah.
And it shits the bed in its execution, its style.
Its character choice.
Its design.
Yeah.
Ooh, fuck no.
Yeah, Capcom have dropped the ball with their beat-em-ups in the last decade, I think. Really big time.
Still not played Street Fighter 5. Did you know Street Fighter 4 was the first game I ever traded in?
I can believe that.
I played it for a week and I just went, I'm not connecting with this. I enjoyed 2 and 2 Turbo. I played the shit out of them on the SNES, but I can't be doing with this shit.
I do like the look of the Street Fighter 4
At £40 on pocket money, and I traded it in and I got 15 quid.
Oh, no.
I was fucking fuming.
Oh, no.
So I've spent £25 to not enjoy a game for a week.
Oh, no.
Bloody hell.
Terrible. That does suck, actually, yeah. I was trying to think of some of the ones that kind of missed the fucking point.
Did you ever play the Fantastic Four on PS2? The tie-in to the Tim Story movie?
No, I didn't. Because there was 2. They did a Rise of the Silver Surfer one as well. I didn't play either.
Never played that one. I've got the first one. I played the first one quite a bit because I wanted more superhero stuff. But it's weirdly dark, visually. There's just a lot of levels set at night.
Yeah.
Which is really odd for the Fantastic Four because you kind of want to see them. But also, the only time I really got much enjoyment out of it was multiplayer. Playing locally with my brother or my friend, Katie, we'd play multiplayer. And that was great. Because suddenly it was oh shit. And it was one of those where you could play 4 players in one game. Which sort of adds more to the party element of it. Which, even though the adaptation in the game itself wasn't necessarily, straight A's by any stretch of the imagination, it gave you part of the Fantastic Four experience because 4 of you would team up to tackle these problems. Do you know what I mean? That's why I can forgive the first Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which is a bit janky ultimately. It's sort of a not as good version of X-Men Legends, the first one.
Yeah.
And then X-Men Legends 2 improves the formula, and then Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 is pretty fucking great. But those games all work better as a 2-player co-op, sat on the couch playing together stuff.
No, hands down,
which in itself encapsulates part of the spirit of the source material about working together. So it's it's like how people are saying, "Oh, I hope the next Spider-Man in this Insomniac series is a co-op with 2-player with Miles and Spider-Man." I'm like, I don't.
It doesn't fit that.
I love that they play together, and I love that Miles' control scheme feeds back into Spider-Man Remastered, so that in the next one you could very easily switch between the two for when the story dictates.
Yeah,
I'd much rather that happen. Because them teaming up should be special.
Yeah.
The fight with Rhino at the start of Miles Morales is really cool. Because it's you're playing as rookie Miles while Peter's tackling Rhino and you're having to stop the raft prisoners and everything. And it's and then at one point it's you need to take charge. Try and wrestle him. Okay!
Wrestle!
you're rodeo riding the rhino through a mall.
Wrestle the rhino.
While Peter's like saving people from the destruction around you. Yeah. It's like, that works really well. Co-op would be a bit...
That is good.
The co-op would be a bit fiddly, I think. So yeah, the X-Men sort of have suffered the most.
Did you ever play X-Men Destiny?
I never did, and that's one that like should have worked from what I hear, because that's the RPG style one.
Yeah, but it's what
where
Silicon
you create
Knights
a mutant
made after 2 Human, which was notoriously bad.
Oh.
To the point where you can't buy it anymore.
Oh. What, digitally, or just like they'd burned every copy?
Both.
There's a landfill full of 2 Human and E.T.
Basically, yeah.
A second E.T. landfill full of the cartridges that people dug up from the first one when they did that big event.
Yeah.
And went, oh, cool, played it for 10 minutes and went, oh, fuck this, and threw it in a new landfill.
No wonder they threw this in the bin, yeah.
E.T. destroy entire industry.
I think basically anything before the Spider-Man games on PS1 are kind of just not able to do the stuff that you want to do in a game about a superhero. But even then, I think it's about fitting. It's about the right genre for the right character, and like some
Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction,
great
action platformer, open world setting, hack and slash, combat style.
Yeah,
works perfectly.
Yeah,
I never played The Incredible Hulk from 2008, which apparently just sort of apes that play style.
I hear it does, yeah.
It's hard to get hold of. I tried a while ago. I was like, I'm going to try and get hold of Iron Man 2, Captain America, Super Soldier, and Thor: God of Thunder. Because I've heard they were all... At the time, I remember the reviews just being... Iron Man 2, not so much. That was a Sega one, and it was... I played the PS... No, I played the Wii version.
Published.
Yeah, I played the Wii version.
Yeah.
And it was just... It was too heavy on flight, and it didn't quite work. So I was like, I want to pick up the Thor and Captain America games for PS3, because at the time I played some Captain America in the HMV in the Trafford Centre when that was a thing, and it was big, and they had like a big demo, that pillar where they had like 4 consoles around it. I played some Captain America, and I was like, eh. But the thing that put me off at the time was PlayStation Magazine saying they're both basically just like kind of boring Arkham clones.
So like Arkham Origins then?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm being harsh on Arkham.
No, Arkham Origins has some great elements to it, especially the story and the direction.
It's just you can tell it was made by a studio who didn't invent those mechanics and didn't quite understand them.
But who then made interesting DLC for Night.
Fair.
And I am looking forward to Gotham Knights. I do want to give that a try.
I prefer Gotham Days. I don't like to walk around in the alleys after dark.
I prefer Gotham After Dark, which is like Gotham Knights, but a little saucy. It's in Gotham's red light district. Which is red because of all the blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man-Bat got hungry again. So, have you been watching Harley Quinn at all?
No, I have not.
At one point, there's a trial, and Man-Bat is their defence, and he's just in a suit and little glasses, and it's like, Mr. Man-Bat, you have the floor, and he sort of goes... It's just the funniest fucking thing.
Wait, Kirk Langstrom is not a lawyer?
No, but Gotham is New Gotham, and it's under new jurisdiction from a cabal of supervillains.
Okay, cool.
The ones who survive, anyway. Ha ha! It's a really good show, and I can't recommend it enough. Yeah, so... Where the fuck was I going with that before the thingy? It was something about the games and dreams. Arkham Origins, no. Not quite as good a version of its thing. Incredible Hulk, Thor, God of Thunder, Captain America Super Soldier. So I looked them up. eBay, a lot of money, unless you want a fucking scratched up version of any of them.
Oh, fuck eBay though.
Bought from stores, who are selling online via places like Amazon and whatnot, charging upwards of like 70 quid. Because of course, they're hard to get hold of. The MCU's become massive since. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
And of course you can't download them, because they were Activision published. And the license has changed, so yeah.
No, I think they're Sega published. Super Soldier's Sega.
Which one's Activision? Oh, it was Ultimate Alliance, wasn't it?
Ultimate Alliance is Activision.
Yeah, and Deadpool.
Those MCU tie-ins. Oh god.
You got to get a physical copy of Deadpool for PS3 or PS4 if you want to play it.
I cannot play Deadpool.
Have you tried?
Yes.
Oh, I got as far as... Because who's the main villain? Mr. Sinister.
The humour.
I think I got near the final boss fight, and it was more the play style for me. Eventually, put me off.
The humour just made me want to punt it out the fucking window. So the thing I was worried about with the Deadpool movie and was pleasantly surprised it didn't.
You get the hidden trophy for that though.
Oh right, okay.
If you punt it out the window, you get a trophy. For it.
Like that's why I don't want to see Free Guy.
Oh okay, I feel like
that. The humour I've seen in the trailer just makes me want to throw up in my own mouth.
You know, I've been open to it just because of the reaction, and then I watched a clip that they published the other day on Twitter where Taika Waititi's talking about why he wants to make sequels because he's the game developer to Joe Keery's character, and it's the first time I've ever watched a clip of Taika Waititi and gone, "Fucking hell, you're annoying."
What are you doing, Taika?
And I know the part's meant to be annoying, but I was like, "Is this going to be all the scenes with this character? I don't know if I could watch it."
That's exactly my reaction to Free Guy. Everything I've seen of Free Guy with all the characters.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've also seen now comments saying there's a moment where you can literally see during the production where Disney acquire the license, because there is a bit where a character wields both a Marvel and a Star Wars based weapon.
Sure.
And it's almost like that only happened because during production they got acquired and suddenly they went, "Can we do this?" Someone there's gone, "Can we do this?" And Disney gone, "Yeah, sure, fuck it, why not?" And they've gone, "Thank you."
Sure.
Which is odd.
Sure.
I mean, if it's a throwaway gag, fine, but yeah. So, in conclusion, Your Honour, War for Wakanda is a thing I'm playing after this recording, and I don't know what to say about it. I hope I'm pleasantly surprised. I hope I play it and go, okay, just level variety alone has refreshed this a bit. T'Challa's got a really fun play style. But the main thing is, regardless of whether or not this is a breath of fresh air for it or more of the same, the only way the game will survive is if they start fucking churning out new heroes, new enemies, ASAP. Because we are, like I said, nearly a year after the game's release. And we are getting our third additional hero, who is technically our second additional hero, because Kate and Clint have the same playstyle, just with different moves.
We are living in the future, but it feels like the past.
Yeah. Speaking of the past, does this segue work? Does this segue work? Does this segue work? Does this segue work? Marvel's What If started last week. Oh my god, it worked! It said it World War II! No one's ever said World War II with such joy before.
Well, they're all technically set in the past.
True. Or the future. No, the past. They're all set in the past.
Versions thereof. This one was relatively far in the past, though, because it retells the events of... I mean, it's the one we all knew was coming, because it's the one that was most heavily publicised. It retells the events of Captain America the First Avenger, but what if Peggy took the serum instead of Steve?
Yeah, so spoilers ahead, but it's not really that spoilery, so if you've not seen it and you're worried about, like, the universe shattering, don't, because... And that's something that, we were talking about this before recording, something that I've seen a complaint about for What If so far, people going, yeah, it's stories we've seen though, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's what If is.
What If is. Although this series is teased with its trailers that there is an arc coming up, so they're going to do something a little different, and I'm like, sure, I'm up for that. If you're changing it to a TV at medium, a bit of experimentation, fair enough.
Yeah.
But as far as, like, our first ever adaptation of What If outside of the comics and a secret hidden mode in the PS1 Spiderman game.
Hey.
I was really pleased. I like the What If comics. They do what they say on the tin. It's, here's a thing, but a bit different. Isn't it interesting? That was fun. Anyway, see you next week for another random distraction.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I thought it was fine. It's a little short. It feels a little rushed.
And we wondered, we were talking about that, weren't we? Like, is it because it is short and rushed and pacey? Or is it because we know the story that it's based on?
I think it's...
And it's weird to see it condensed. Like, because we know that there's more to this. First Avengers got the quiet moments of, you know, like the meetings in the war table, war cabinet rooms, and all the slow build-up with Steve pre-signing. Because, of course, the story starts having skipped the first, like, 50 minutes of Captain America, the First Avenger.
It's the same to that point.
Yeah.
But I
did like the decision. I liked the thing that was different not being obvious. It wasn't just like, Peggy's been enlisted and Steve is also here for some reason.
Yeah.
It was, you know,
Everything is the same.
Everything's the same.
But Peggy stays in the room.
Peggy stays in the room, spots Richard Armitage's...
oh, God, it is Richard Armitage, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not the voice, but the likeness. It's like, yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Spots... He and Tommy Lee Jones both returning likeness only. Both for about 3 seconds of screen time. Richard Armitage's Hydra spy, plant... readies the bomb. He readies the bomb, which he does in the film.
Yeah.
But because Peggy's downstairs and not upstairs in the viewing room, because she's like, sort of on it and a badass motherfucker, and would be on the lookout for anything suspicious, she spots him, confronts him, and it all goes to shit before Steve's given the super soldier serum.
Yeah.
Erskine is killed.
Yeah.
We get a couple Stanley Tucci lines in. Tommy Lee Jones's Colonel Tommy Lee Jones is killed. And it's interesting because obviously the thing is there are voice actors who replace some of the cast members from the films in this.
Yeah, it's really.
And there are definitely voice actors who could replace Tommy Lee Jones. There are people out there who do a really good Tommy Lee Jones, but I think the decision they made works for this story, so it doesn't get too bogged down in authority figures for Peggy. You have to have Bradley Whitford's character, who's like the person above even thingy that you've got to answer to. So that makes more sense to me. Also, Tommy Lee Jones's character wouldn't be the one telling her, "Stand down, you're not good enough." Like he absolutely believed in Peggy. So
he does need to go.
The first thing he does is he steps in to fight the spy.
Yeah.
And gets a shot off and then gets shot himself. And it's like, there you go. Okay, so like, the character, his exit from the story is completely in character.
Yeah.
And Steve gets injured because Steve steps out the thing and tries to fight the guy off. Because of course he fucking would. Well, it's Steve goddamn Rogers.
It's not even so much who steps out the thing, it's that they can't carry on with the procedure.
Yeah.
So he's...
Oh no, but I mean, like, he goes to, he's not letting this, he's not just a bystander.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to help. And that's when it's the whole thing of all that, like Erskine is dying in Steve's arms, isn't it? Like Steve or Howard is with Erskine. Yeah. It's like he's dying. This is all going to go to shit now.
Yeah, we've got to do it now.
And like the timing on the machine, and Peggy's just like takes charge. I'm doing it. I'm going in. Like jacks herself up with whatever pre-injection or whatever, dives in.
Yep.
And we have our deviation in the timeline.
Yeah. And there's some really neat action scenes. It follows the same place, but they get the Tesseract before.
Because Peggy's on it
before.
So there's a bit of time bend.
Does.
There's a little bit of time bend. I think Schmidt still takes it from the monument in the town earlier in the events of the story, but it shows us to remind us.
Yeah, but they get Zola.
We see we don't. It's not the voice of. But we see a CGI David Bradley for like 3 seconds. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's David Bradley. Holy shit.
But yeah, they capture Zola with the Tesseract earlier on. That allows Howard Stark to build the Hydra Smasher, the Hydra Stomper, which is a big, like, sort of Ironmonger style Iron Man armor powered by the Tesseract.
That's a very what if move.
Yeah.
Like, there is no need for an Iron Man element to be in this story, but what if would do something like that? Was like, Howard Stark's here, and he's got hold of this power which... If Tony got hold of this, he totally would create something with it. So let's give it to his dad. And I don't mind that, because it means that Steve gets to still be a massive hero.
And Steve and Peggy have that relationship.
But he's absolutely the Dum-Dum Dugan to her, like Nick Fury.
Yes.
Also Dum-Dum Dugan. Fuck yes.
Yes.
And you see that there's the lovely sort of couple scenes between the one slow scene in it, where they're in the bar.
Yeah.
And that reasserts that, oh no, these two have a connection. It has fuck all to do with him becoming Captain America.
Yeah.
Like, which I think is important for this episode as a reminder. Because, I mean, I think we know the first film pretty much like the back of our hands at this point, and they have moments together. There's the bit where, like, he gets the flag off the pole and gets the ride back. Riding back with Agent Carter, and he's just sat there. And they just kind of have this moment of like, okay.
She's already falling for him before he gets buff.
Yeah, they have the awkward conversation in the taxi about him talking to girls and everything. And so, but this kind of reminds you by having the scene with them talking while she is fucking world famous war fighting British American superhero.
Henchmama.
Yeah. Oh, good. Don't even get me started. Remember that bit where she like stomps on the thing in the gym? Can that be my skull? So, like, they have that quiet moment that reaffirms to you and reminds you, if you've not watched the film in a while, that no, like, this was already a thing. And even now that she is the super soldier, and he's still weedy little Steve Rogers, as he's called in the credits, Skinny Steve Rogers.
Voiced by Josh Keaton here, not
voiced
Chris Evans.
brilliantly by Josh Keaton as well.
I didn't clock it wasn't Chris Evans until I looked it up.
Josh, spectacular Spiderman Keaton. He's voiced a fair few Marvel characters at this point. He's done so well, but his Peter Parker in that show is still one of my favourite takes on the character ever. I love the fact he's even in the Insomniac game. He's Electro, which is nice because he and Spidey have like a Rocky back and forth, a Rocky joke quote off back and forth during the Vulture Electro boss fight. It's like, yay, Spider-Man's joking with Spider-Man. But yes, like that's fun. Let's talk about the stuff that works and let's talk about the stuff that doesn't work. Because I think overall, I think I enjoyed it a bit more than you. I dug it, but I that's probably partially down to me, like, really loving What If growing up. I'm just happy to see it, and also a massive love for that first film and the character of Peggy in particular.
I like that it keeps the sort of What If tradition of like, oh yeah, it seems like it might actually be a better outcome, but no, it all ends in tears like it always does.
Which I like. Like, so they get hold of the Cosmic Cube early on, the Tesseract, sorry, and it's like, okay, so Red Skull's foiled. So we then see Red Skull planning something else. He's like, fuck you, I'm going for a Hail Mary then. Okay, I'm going to summon an intergalactic beast from the stars.
He gets the Tesseract back to do that.
Yeah. In a twist on the train sequence that took Bucky's life.
It's Steve who's lost, but he doesn't actually end up being lost for very long.
Which at first I was like, oh no, it's a cop-out. They should have killed him off. But then later on I realised why they didn't. So they could have the parallel version of the You Owe Me One dance scene where he's still in the past and Peggy ends up in the present.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, no, I respect that decision. I get it. Plus it was hilarious to see him power up using the base's electricity and the first step just fucking falls flat on his face and he's like, just give me a second here, fellas.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
But yeah, no, that was nice that they retained that. That whole, it's a bit different, and everything's coming up roses, and oh no, it's a morality tale, it's a fable.
I like that she gets to pick up a sword.
Just full on Captain Britain visuals.
Yeah.
I kind of like the fact that it ends with a fight with a giant fucking tentacle beast from outer space.
Yeah.
Because you would never see that in any draft of Captain America: First Avenger.
No.
So it's we're going to take this in a different direction. And I appreciated that. I was like, that is cool. Plus, a very Cthulhu-esque cosmic horror.
Might be Shuma Gorath.
Could be. It's got a beak.
It's a big squid. Squids have beaks.
True.
Listen, squids. They've got beaks.
They got beaks, fam. I really enjoyed the Howling Commandos playing a prominent role in it still. That made me happy.
Well, Dum Dum and Sebastian and
the
others don't say anything.
That's true, but they're there. And it's like, yay! I mean, they recreate the visual of him bursting through the door at the breakout in the film.
Oh yeah,
with them behind him, they recreate that in a different setting, but it's like, there they are, and she's at the head. I love her costume. I think it's absolutely fucking right, and I love that she's basically like going to be forced down the same route that Steve was, which is just, this is a joke and an embarrassment, and go and sell bonds.
Yeah.
And Howard Stark's like, yeah, fuck that. I made you an outfit. I've got this vibranium shield I've been working on. I've painted it up for you. Go get the Cosmic Cube. Because that's the thing, isn't it? They basically break rank and they go and steal the Tesseract back.
No, they spring the 107 first.
Oh, of course,
like they do it in the original. That's the first mission is freeing the 107th.
Is it?
And then off the back of that.
Oh right, yeah, because she twats the truck.
Yeah.
Over her head, and then has that moment where she's like, "Oh, okay," like she suddenly realizes how strong she is, and has fun with it. And I love that bit with the guys, like they send a fragile Fräulein and she just twats him in the leg.
She breaks his leg.
He bends over like, oh, and then she just slams him on the head and into the pavement. And you're like, this is cool. Because she is a more effective Captain America than Captain America was at this point.
She's better trained before she gets the serum.
Exactly, she's got like however many years of pre-training as a cadet and as an agent, and like she's a spy and an army kid, and like she's done the time.
Yeah.
So you give the super soldier serum to somebody who's got that already, and it's like fucking brilliant. And it kind of proves Erskine as well, the idea of what's inside is what kind of drives this version of the serum.
Yeah.
Which they don't go into with the Red Skull, but you do get a lovely moment where you see Johann Schmidt several times in the story, but they still give him a reveal moment where he peels his face off in front of someone, just so you can have that moment of, oh yeah, it fucked him up from the inside. Like, he's completely gone. The voice cast... in terms of like people who absolutely fucking nail it, Hayley Atwell.
Obs.
Just Hayley Atwell. She can do no wrong at this point. Please don't turn out to be like a transphobe or something, Hayley Atwell, for the love of God.
God damn it.
Josh Keaton as Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Great job. It's Bradley Whitford, isn't it? Is the name of the actor? I'm not getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Bradley Whitford does a great job.
He's one of the actors who's just great in everything he's in.
Neil McDonough
as
Dum Dum.
As Dum Dum, yeah.
Full on Dum Dum.
Yeah.
Like full on Dum Dum Dugan delivery style. Like he and his animated mustache are doing all the work and doing it beautifully.
Mustache.
Toby Jones has like 2 lines, but it's still nice that they got Toby Jones back. It's like that's cool. I think the points in terms of best performance in this go to Ross Marquand as the Red Skull.
Yeah, he's basically doing his Infinity War thing again.
Well, that's the thing.
Very well.
He's the Red Skull now more than Hugo Weaving is the Red Skull, because he's played him 3 times.
Yeah.
So he's the Red Skull. Hugo Weaving, he was the first one, but like Ross Marquand's the Red Skull.
This is why you didn't get asked back for Matrix 4, Hugo.
Really? I'm glad he's not in it, because he's talked about how he hates blockbusters.
Because he talked about that, that's why he didn't get asked back.
Brilliant. I'm guessing now that they would have had a part for him, and he's pissed off about the fact that he's not in it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Good. 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 You're pissed off at Transformers, Hugo. You should have been more specific.
That was an easy paycheck for you as well.
I love that. So for those who don't know, like, Hugo Weaving... he's a great actor. He's a really good actor. He's so good. But he was kind of worn down by, like, the experience of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit filming schedules a bit. Like that, he's not in The Hobbit a lot, but he still was, like, several months work on it.
I mean, being in The Hobbit is being in The Hobbit too much.
Oh, God. But, like, read the book, kids. It's great. But, or listen to an audiobook, an unabridged audiobook. They're usually really fun. But...
listen to the musical retelling of it by Leonard Nimoy.
Don't do that. Bilbo Baggins. Go watch the animated version of Lord of the Rings. Don't, because it only adapts like the first book and a half, and it's never finished.
Well, there's
anyway.
2.
Oh, don't even get me started.
And The Hobbit.
Oh, fuck. Anyway. Hugo Weaving did Transformers as Megatron, voiced him for like 3 films and hated it, and made a point that he hates it. No, I don't. Maybe for a future episode. But
where there's a whip, there's a way.
Please stop. So that's the most anyone has ever referenced that in a podcast in years. Hugo Weaving was like, "Hey, the Transformers films. I honestly just do it for the money. It's a lot of bullshit. It's bollocks. Have you watched them? No, I've not watched them. I think they're a load of shit."
We know you do it for the money, Hugo. We know you're not doing it because you're big into Megatron. We're not fucking children. We're not stupid. But you don't have to be a dick about it.
And then when he was asked about Captain America, would you ever come back? Because he had it was one of those contracts where it's like, his contract was for Captain America the First Avenger with the option to appear in future films. And Red Skull is not killed off on screen. He's zapped into space by the Cosmic Cube / the Tesseract / the Space Stone.
Which we get to pick up on later in Infinity War. Yeah,
but like, they left it open. That was obviously never where they would have put him. They never were going to like be like, and he'll be a guardian of a stone in space. Like, they would have done something else with him. But he said he'd never come back to that because he was sick of blockbusters and having to do prosthetics and all this shitty stuff that they put you through on these movies.
Oh, poor Hugo.
So, of course, when Ross Marquand takes over the role in Infinity War, he has to look like Hugo Weaving in prosthetics. So what they use is some minimal prosthesis on his face for the shape, and then tracking dots for performance capture.
Yep.
So he's in makeup for like maybe an hour and a half.
Yep.
And he gets to play the Red Skull.
Yep.
In 2 movies, and now in animation, where he just does it in a voice booth. Well done, Hugo.
Fucked yourself out of that one, didn't you, Hugo?
Oh my god. Best thing about it, aside from tentacle beastie Cthulhu shit from outer space being a proper what is happening? I'm here for this. It's mad. We also get Jeremy Renner and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Very briefly at the end.
In a sort of mirror of.
Yeah, mirror of the Avengers, except Loki doesn't.
Yeah, it's not Loki coming through the Tesseract.
Come through the Tesseract. It's Captain Carter, which I kind of liked because it was like, okay, that's.
So it's a combination of that scene and the epilogue scene from First Avenger. With Steve realising he's in the modern day.
I love that scene. I love that scene because you can stop the movie before that scene begins, and you've just got a great World War II superhero film.
Yeah. And
then that scene's the P.S. the next film. We're about to do something a bit different, everybody.
Yeah.
The best thing in it for me, aside from just Captain Carter being fucking cool, as a great concept.
Yeah.
She was introduced in a mobile game a few years ago. Was the first appearance of the character. It was like Puzzle Quest or something.
I don't think it was her. It was a version.
She's Captain America. Peggy Carter, I think the character's called, and it's sort of her. It's a alternate universe. What if Peggy was?
I think it was an alternate
Captain
universe.
America.
Sharon.
No, it's Peggy in the original. But there's been a comic version of the idea since where it was a Carter. So there's been a couple takes on it. This is the first one where they've gone, and here it is primarily with an actor who you all recognise in the role, and its costume sort of a mix of the two.
Yeah.
The best thing in this episode was the mixed to the really sort of wacky, wartime, good vibes music montage of her taking down a shitload of Hydra bases and soldiers.
It's no Star Spangled Man with the Plan, but it's pretty fucking close.
I loved when they would mix that in and the and his main theme dun, 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 and all that that was woven into the score. The score was great as well.
Yeah.
It was woven into the score, but it wasn't exactly the same. So it was oh my god, it's appropriated for Peggy's version of the story. It's that is so good. But that montage, especially the bit where she fucking beats the shit out of the guy on the plane, throws him out, then leaps off of the plane, shield in hand, and cannonballs just naturally via gravity into the propeller of the other plane, smashes it to shit. I was like, this set piece is incredible.
She fucks those planes up.
It's it's my favourite Marvel action set piece since the opening of Falcon and Winter Soldier, the Batroc fight at the canyon.
That was good.
It's this is, oh my god, aerial stuff in these movies can be phenomenal, and now in the cartoons they've done it. And also the art style. I'm always weird with CGI as an animated series thing when it's pretending to not be CGI. But especially for the action set pieces.
Yeah, I think the action was really nice and fluid as well. But some of the lip sync felt a bit off. Not the lip sync per se, but the lip shapes.
Let's get nitpicky.
Felt a bit off for
I
me.
agree. Especially in some of Peggy's close-ups.
Yeah.
Was odd.
When it was doing the close-up dialogue stuff, some of the lip stuff just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I thought it was that was the sort of that was the problem with it for me. The only real problem I had, apart from it being too short. It's the only technical problem really I had.
What about the voice performances that don't quite work? Por exemple,
Sebastian Stan
and Dominic Cooper. Neither of them quite feel comfortable.
I appreciate Dominic Cooper's gusto because he's
love
fucking
his
going
attitude,
for it.
but I spent the entire episode going, I don't remember you acting like this in Captain America or Agent Carter at all.
Yeah.
I don't remember this being your performance. Have you gone, well, it's a cartoon, I'm going to make him cartoony? And it's because we've talked about this on the show before. Film actors doing voice roles in animation, especially animated films, can either work really well and be a nice surprise, or could be really fucking dull.
But the thing to remember is it's not the same skill set.
It's not the same skill set.
It doesn't necessarily transfer.
Exactly. Whereas this cartoon's sort of one where I could make an exception.
Yeah.
Because it's so closely married to live action visuals,
Yes.
that I think your brain does part of the work.
Yes.
So we know he can, but if Samuel L. Jackson couldn't voice act, I don't think it would affect it too badly, because you are oh no, this is live action Nick Fury, I'm just seeing it told in a slightly different visual. It's not a cartoon, it's more stuff from that live action world, I know it just looks a bit different.
Yeah.
But It feels like Dominic Cooper's going, "Oh, I'm going to do the animated series, Howard Stark. Hey, you crazy kids!" And it's like, this is weird.
He's doing like newsreel narrator. That's what he's doing.
Yeah,
it's odd.
Yeah, it's like he went.
The point where I wasn't sure it was Dominic Cooper.
I've not played this character for a few years. Let me go back and see how I played it. And he went back to watch Agent Carter, but he dozed off, and he woke up during the bits where Ralph Garman's that radio announcer, and he just went, "I think that's me." Like, I'll just play it like that. Yeah, hello, welcome to the old-timey Howard Stark hour.
Well, he accidentally set his fancy Blu-ray player to 1.5 speed.
There you go. He just like fast-forwarded.
Not terrible, just odd.
Yeah, and Sebastian now.
It's just a bit flat.
Let's give him. Well, I'll give him a chance because we've got more Winter Soldier stuff in future stories.
Okay, yeah.
The Marvel Zombies trailer, for example, trailer footage. The Winter Soldier seems to be a prominent character.
Yeah.
So he's not bad. It just feels like it's well out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, it just feels a little flat. That's all. It's not atrocious.
Which is only apparent, I think, as it is, because we spent like 6 weeks with him a couple months ago, watching him absolutely nail it and play the best he's done in the role.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, oh, okay, fair enough. I guess this is a thing.
Okay.
I also hated the closing lines from The Watcher because in the show there is no context for him yet. Other than at the beginning, like, I am the Watcher, I observe all these reality, and a nice little visual where you sort of see like the idea of like stories branching off into different realities, and they use the same visual as the sacred timeline from Loki.
Yeah,
which is like, that's a nice touch, very well done.
I think that's the kind of thing that might get better, though. To be fair,
I mean, Jeffrey Wright sounds amazing. Like, what a great voice
he does.
But just
fucking awesome.
It just felt very. The ending felt very. We have to remind people that there might be a storyline coming up in this.
Yeah, I get you.
So there might be a season arc coming up in this eventually, and I don't mind the fact that we're not starting with that. I think it's better to do it that way.
It didn't bother me
because it is an anthology book, so it should be an anthology show.
I feel like you have to establish the idea very strongly early on that the Watcher does not interfere.
It just sort of felt like he was pulling it out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? It's.
Yeah.
It feels like Buffy Series 6 starting with like, oh, you sure we're going to do this, Willow? Yes, it's not like me doing this is going to lead to me being the villain in the last 3 episodes. What did you say? Nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Nothing.
It's like, it feels like it should be like that. I mean, spoilers for a fucking 20-year-old story arc in a TV series. But like that sort of slowly rears its head in her questioning the morality of the spell they're doing in that first story, and then her going with Amy to like the magic supplier and stuff and getting high on the darker magics. No, I think they seed it, whereas this almost felt like Watu grabbed the seed of the plot that's going to come up later and punched it into the flower bed. It was like, okay, all right, calm down. We figure we're going to see more of you later. At the minute, you're just an outline in the clouds. But we're definitely going to see more of you.
That might be because we know about Uatu.
Maybe that's true. This is an interesting one because unlike the previous shows, we've brought more knowledge to this one. Yeah. But everyone who's watching this has, because either you're familiar with the concept or you've watched the fucking movies it's based on.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm interested to see where it goes. I think anyone who's putting WandaVision, Loki, Captain America, and the Winter Soldier, Falcon the Winter Soldier pressure on it needs to ease off slightly.
It's not going to be that.
It's not going to be that. It isn't going to be that. It's a deviation.
I think they are sort of very clearly leading to something in the wider Marvel universe, whereas this just seems like it's its own thing off in the corner.
Yeah, which I'm happy with.
That's what If is. What If's always been its own thing off in the corner.
I mean, if in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness you want to have a scene where randomly Captain Carter's in it, that'd be fucking phenomenal.
I wouldn't hate it.
That'd be cool, because you go, oh, this film in its own thing is about multiverses and different timelines and realities, but also, I know that one's a reference to that show I watched. And it's like, there you go, boom, sorted. What do we think about the weird MCU TV shows WandaVision erasure that seems to be going on amongst everything? Because Marvel Studios Legends put out a Peggy Carter episode ahead of What If, and it featured no footage from Agent Carter at all, prompting people to go, hang on, it's on this service, it doesn't contradict any major continuity. Why wouldn't you advertise it to people who maybe haven't checked it out on this service yet?
The problem
Just
is...
a couple shots from it. Because they used the thumbnail. They her in the blue coat, red hat is used everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not from any of the films. So, maybe just put a couple shots from it, show her doing missions. The one shot, Agent Carter, put some footage of that in there.
The thing is with it, is I don't care.
Oh, you bastard.
And you know why I don't care?
She and Jarvis made those dub smashes for reasons.
Do you know why I don't care?
Why?
Because they don't matter.
Hey.
For exactly the reasons you said. They don't affect or contribute to anything.
Hey.
So they don't matter.
Hey.
I like Agent Carter.
Hey.
But I don't like it. I don't...
Hey.
It isn't integral enough to the overall meta plot for me to give a shit.
I'm so sorry, gentle listener. Hey.
What?
Matt. You're completely valid in that opinion. That opinion's completely valid, and you're right.
I mean, I care more about Agent Carter than I do about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Inhumans, which can both go die in a fucking fire. But
my only
Agent Carter was good.
My only stipulation with the whole pre-WandaVision erasure thing is, if the characters in those respective shows appear again, just bring back the same cast members.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
If Cloak and Dagger are going to rock up in a thing, let the Cloak and Dagger kids play Cloak and Dagger. Do you know what I mean? If Daredevil's going to come back, I want to see Charlie Cox.
Yeah.
I want the scene or whatever to end with him as Matt Murdock going off to meet fucking Foggy Nelson for lunch.
You want to see Charlie's Cox? Both of them?
All of them. All the peni. Speaking of penises and dicks.
Emails!
I've not read them, so I'm not making a judgment on anybody, by the way. I was just doing my usual segue shtick. Please don't unsubscribe. If anything, subscribe again.
These ones...
Subscribe harder.
Yeah.
Or go to patreon.com/BigDamnCast to throw some shekels.
But don't expect anything in return.
Except our undying...
Undying bio. Some of these are a bit old, so I apologise that we've not got to them sooner. But, it's been...
What do you want for free?
Yeah, what do you want for free?
You know what I mean? You want nothing, we're giving you nothing. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just noticed that my pants are fraying at the crotch, and I'm slightly worried my balls are going to bust out while we record.
I just can't look at you in the eye while you're fiddling with your mantle.
I don't want my Hydra stompers to just fall out in the middle of this recording.
I don't want to stomp on your hydras in the middle of this recording. But if you carry on playing your cards right, I bloody well will.
Be glad this is an audio medium.
And it won't be nice like when Mummy Peggy does it.
Mama Peggy. No, don't call her Mummy, because calling her Mummy is what drove Hayley Atwell off of Twitter.
Oh, God!
She got creeped out by how many... stan culture was developing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It creeped her. Sebastian stan culture was developing.
Okay.
It just freaked her out a little too much, and she went away from social media, and then eventually came back to Instagram, but now she just sort of puts some cool stuff from filming up every now and again. And it's fair enough. Completely respect that. That's totally fine. Here's the thing, guys. It's okay to absolutely fancy the shit out of a celeb or character, but don't tag them in everything.
Yeah, they're not going to sleep with you.
It's just a bit creepy.
This one comes in from Sam.
Sam
says...
Sam building a dam.
Hello, boyos!
How'd you find time to write an email while building a dam, Sam?
I know, right? Busy person, Sam. It was a real pleasure to hear my email read live on your big anniversary episode not long ago, so I've decided to whiz you another email.
Oh, I love being whizzed on.
Oh! No, that's not what this is.
What? Huh? Huh?
I've heard Chris mention he's a fan of the Tony Goldmark podcast, Escape from Walt Disney! Which I'm a huge fan of myself. Okay, you don't
I had to self-whiz.
Yeah?
Mm.
Okay, now.
Mm-hmm. So yes,
the professionalism which you clearly lack is just absolutely gobsmacking.
I just poured water near a microphone. Do you think I have any professional bone in my body anymore? I ain't a Foley artist. This thing ain't wrapped in plastic. Or the microphone.
Oh, only Laura Palmer is wrapped in plastic.
Oh, congratulations, half of our audience. We know you're scratching your head right now. Go discover some cool TV.
Yeah.
Go watch some real fucking cool TV from the past. You won't regret it.
Is there any other podcasts besides the Big Damn Cast, no plugging naughty boys, alright, I'm told, which you'd highly recommend? Looking forward to hearing your recommendations and keep being great as ever. Goodbye, my dear Sam.
The Dam Builder.
I am.
Escape from Walt Disney, yeah.
Escape from Walt Disney.
I recommend that a lot. Because it's just fun. It's a group of people who love the parks, the shows, the films, aren't like blind to the shittiness of things that the companies do.
There is some shittiness at Disney.
I mean, Tony Goldmark, like his most viral video that he's made is remember the one with the Florida Disney World put out the advert last year that was like, welcome home,
oh,
and it's everybody waving this. He put out a dub where they're going, stay at home,
yeah.
and it just went, like Meridor on the horse, the only one without a mask, going, I'm in danger, it's not like they're blind loving this thing, but they're experts at it, massive fans of everything the stuff's put out, and they can talk about it ad infinitum. And Escape from Walt Disney, the premise is each week the patrons help a random vote or a randomizer be influenced to pick something, an episode, a documentary, a film, whatever, on Disney Plus, and he and his guests that week have to watch it and talk about it. And it's just a really fun premise because it was born out of them looking at that initial announcement and going, the fuck is Candle Shoe? Do you know what I mean? Do you remember all the Sky Ghosts and all that weird shit? So it's great because every now and again you either get the joy of going, oh, it's something I've heard of, I want to hear their opinion, or the fuck is that? Let's hear them explain it.
Fuzz bucket.
Smart house.
Smart.
Every time we do this, I just think of the Brock Baker Goofy What's His Money sequel. Disney wants to buy the sun. No more life. No more life, Damien.
Where's my goddamn money, Damien?
I'm gonna hit you with my strong hand. Where's my yucking money? God, so good. Other podcasts. Big old cases of pod. Stinky cases. Well, this is cheating a bit, because I haven't actually listened to the first new episode, but sort of pseudo friends of the show, The Review of Death, reformatted recently.
The Review of Death.
Matt and Billy have Matthew Toffolo and Billy Garrett John respectively have rebooted The Review of Death as a partially visual podcast. You can now watch it or listen to it in a studio setting. Specifically, these are the lads who did the Doctor Who on Twitch stuff for the marathon a couple of years ago. What did they say in that? Croydon, 1972, something like that. And they're back in that studio space. It doesn't look the same, obviously, but they're back in that studio space.
Yes.
Making The Review of Death. That's brand new. I've always enjoyed The Review of Death as it is up to this point, so I'm looking forward to seeing it in the new formats. There's a recommendation for those who don't know. If you're a Doctor Who fan, worth checking out. Oh God, what else? I've not been that adventurous with my podcasts lately. Oh no, shit! I tell a lie. The George Lucas podcast. The George Lucas Talk Show. I've finally started watching it.
Go on.
So, the George Lucas Talk Show is hosted by George Lucas. For those who can't see me in this room, I just did a thing with my fingers. And George Lucas he's just released, although based on who the guest is and what the conversation is, they forget this continuity for whatever reason and just allow the conversation to flow. Yep. He's just released a movie called Star Wars. He's worked very hard on it. And he's just interviewing comedians, filmmakers, other podcasters, just getting them on to interview them. And they can ask him questions about it, and it's really fun. And he's joined by his friend Patrick, who sort of moderates the podcast, and the sidekick of this talk show. And keep in mind, this is normally done live, but in the last year they've moved it to Zoom broadcasts.
Of course.
The co-host, the sidekick of the talk show, is Watto. And it's genuinely Watto, by the way. It's not actor Griffin Newman in a onesie with a trunk on his face doing an accent for 2 hours. It's Watto. And it's fucking great. It's the most bizarre... It's very much it either really works because the guest has no fucking clue how to handle it and are just being led through this bizarre journey, or it works because the guest tunes the fuck in, knows exactly how to play this, and joins in with the absurdity of it all. And then it becomes just an expert, improv exercise between the guests and the hosts. The George Lucas Talk Show. You can watch or listen to it, and I recommend giving that a go. That is so much fun. He's got an idea for a follow-up to Star Wars. A Star Wars 2. He's thinking of calling it The Empire Strikes Again. So he's working on it. But yeah. The George Lucas talk show is my recommendation. What have you got, big boy? With your Squirtle sorting hat t-shirt.
No desire to listen to that, ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a shame.
Yeah. The thought of having Watto as a co-host just fills me with dread.
I mean, it's not actually Watto.
I know it's not actually,
it's the actor Griffin Newman.
but I know someone doing the... Yeah.
It's quite funny, honestly.
I think that just puts me off right away.
Give the Kevin Smith episode a try. Because there's a whole thing on, like, George Lucas owing him a written letter after Kevin Smith has referenced his film for years. And it's worth it, because Kevin keeps pointing out that the sidekick is basically a child slave labourer. And they play into it. It's fun to watch. Honestly, give it a try. It's worth it. Anyway, now I've recommended a thing that Matt's definitely never going to check out.
Take your word for it.
What are you recommending, son?
Tell me! Things I listen to on the regs. Quite different from the kind of stuff we do here.
Mm.
There are a couple of shows I want to talk about. Firstly, they're huge shows, so it's not like I'm giving anyone a single. But
big show.
Yeah, they're huge. They're
big show.
Very popular shows.
The Ed Sullivan Really Big Show
yeah,
category.
the Ed O'Sullivan Really Big Show.
Sure. Okay.
Sure, why not?
Fine.
First one is a great podcast.
We apologise, everyone. There was just a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, there's a glitch in my Matrix, if you know what I mean.
I don't.
Well, I'll tell you. It's a podcast called You're Wrong About, in which two journalists dissect fairly recent events in history, things like public health scandals, moral panics, trials, crime cases, and just tell you that you were wrong about that. This isn't actually the way it happened. What actually happened was this. And it's, topics like the Satanic Panic. There's an ongoing sub-series about the O.J. Simpson trial, Princess Diana, the life of Princess Diana over 3 parts, and just two journalists.
I'm not laughing at the life and times of Princess Diana. I'm laughing because I've just remembered another podcast that is apparently about that, but it isn't, and I'll recommend it afterwards.
Okay.
Sorry, go on.
That's worrying.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, two very fun, idiosyncratic hosts who have a lot of interesting stuff to say and do their research and just give you a fun time. Spinning off that, one of the hosts of that also hosts a podcast called Maintenance Phase, which debunks myths around dieting, nutrition, weight, all that kind of stuff, which is very fascinating. And lastly, if you like your podcast's narrative, if you like a bit of fiction, there is a fantastic anthology horror podcast called Old Gods of Appalachia, which is all about what it says on the tin, the dark and unknowable things that dwell under the mountains of Appalachia and that decide to that start to exert their influence in the early 1900s, the sort of first half of the 20th century, and that weaves in folklore, magic, Lovecraftian cosmic horror, a little bit of early 20th century frontier railroad sort of drama, and an incredibly charismatic narrator who just has a great voice.
Old Gods of Appalachia.
Old Gods of Appalachia.
So search Old Gods of, and I'm sure the
autofill
will do the rest for you on that search. But yeah. Okay, that's a good call.
Those are that's three of the best. From my mouth
ears
to your
also mouth.
Whatever orifice you use to hear.
Oh.
I don't know. You could be some sort of bat. Bats have ears. You could be some sort of snake, and you might.
Snakes have ears.
Yeah, but they lick the air, don't they?
Not to listen.
Shut up. I know what I'm talking about.
If you want another podcast about the death of Diana, listen to Oh Hello, the podcast, starring Nick Kroll and John Mulaney as Gil Faison and George St. Geoghegan, respectively. It's very short. You could listen to the whole thing in like an hour and 10 minutes. It's like 7 episodes. It's fucking great. It's bizarre. Because, of course, it's 2 out-of-work Broadway actors in the early lockdown looking for something to do and trying to publish a podcast through like a podcast network. And their angle is, well, no one's done a podcast about the death of Diana. It's like, well, no, plenty of people have done podcasts about the death of Diana. And it doesn't really go into it at all. Give it a listen. Guests include Pete Davidson and Lin-Manuel Miranda and John Oliver. So it's fun.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
What any of them have to do about Diana is like nothing. Except one of them has a surprising kind of connection to her that actually ends up being quite interesting. Oh, hello, the podcast.
I'm going to pick up with the rest of James's email from last week. We talked about the Suicide Squad part last week, but we're going to pick up on the other part of it this week.
James,
before we call it a day.
James, part 2. James, part 2. James, part 2.
And James says, I know...
part 2. James, part 2.
All right, Matthew McConaughey.
Part 2.
Shut the fuck up.
All right.
All right. I know I'm late to it, but I'm going to say what I likey about Loki. He didn't say likey about Loki.
Oh, James, you failed. You failed the test, James.
Episode 1, a really great reintroduction to Loki and look into the world of the TVA. Ep 2, the design work on this show is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Love the whole apocalypse thing. Ep 3, love that they spent the whole episode allowing the 2 variants to get to know one another. Yes, that was good.
And singing on a train.
Yes.
Which became like a #1 track on Spotify for a couple of days.
Everything becomes a #1 track on Spotify if it's in a TV show. Like that's how media works now.
It's weird, fam.
That's how media works.
It's weird, bro. Can we be #1 on Spotify?
Almost.
Wrong question. When will we be #1 on Spotify?
Almost probably never.
Have we won #1 on Spotify? Oh, the Friendship Onion! That's the other podcast. The Friendship Onion. Friendship Onion. Give that a listen.
Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan being mates.
Yeah, just being adorable.
Yeah.
Watch it rather than listen to it if you can, so you can skip the ads.
It's a bit like this show, but good. Ep 4, it'll be...
And they have more money than we do.
Yeah, and they're famous. And talented. It'll be interesting rewatching the final scene, knowing that Jonathan Majors voiced the fake timekeepers. The ending made me feel pain. This was immediately undercut in the post-credits. That's episode 4. So we all know what happens at the end of episode 4, don't we?
Yeah.
Episode 5, it's a weird world of references. Richard E. Grant and an alligator steal the show.
Mm-hmm.
I believe classic Loki's pain. Grant is truly one of our most underrated actors, or at least not in the conversation as much as he should be. Agreed.
Yeah.
Ep 6.
He laughed. He cheered. He punched the air.
He punched the air. Sylvie's broken mind and Loki's heart. Will he ever be able to trust again? Will this damage his character growth? Will he lash out? Cannot wait to see where Jonathan Majors takes these variants. He was so much fun. Can't wait to see him being deliciously evil. Bring on season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice, concise...
I mean, we've covered Loki in depth and detail.
Never heard of it. What are you talking about?
No?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm just keeping it low-key, that's why. I have recently caught up on the latter half of Season 4 and the start of Season 5 of Rick.
I thought you were going to say
Morty.
Season 4, Season 5 of Loki. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, time travel. It is fun and strange and all it should be. They turned into turkeys. They did turn into turkeys.
Mm-hmm.
He turned that man into a snake.
Turn that goddamn man into a snake. I've been playing Saints Row 4, and Keith David playing Keith David is something I never want to stop. So, more Keith David as the president in Rick and Morty, please. I'll be very happy with that forever.
What do you think you're doing bringing an armed sperm in here? You crazy?
He got like 2 episodes this season.
Yeah, just to say the weirdest shit. And also, can we just appreciate that they doubled down on... So they made a big thing of saying, oh yeah, we regret that sperm episode. We thought we crossed the line there, and yeah. And then immediately, they said that knowing that they were going to bring back one of the playable elements from that a couple of episodes later, in just the weirdest fucking way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
They postured.
I love it.
They postured. They fake apologised because they knew we were all going to be super annoyed about it.
And I love that, especially after they spent most of the last few episodes just giving the finger to continuity.
Yeah.
And I also
and then we suddenly spend an entire episode actually picking up something from a couple seasons ago.
And in an episode that wasn't that funny, but was very good, I thought.
Oh, it was meta as fuck.
Good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Which they
for
do
a show
sometimes.
Like it's good for a show to do that now and
The
again.
one from season 3, the Rick Lantis or whatever it was, the one that Rick and Morty are in for 2 minutes, and the rest of it is spent on the Citadel of Ricks during the election.
Yes.
That one is not funny, but it's really good.
Oh, I think Simple Ricks is pretty funny though. But anyway,
that's dark though.
Simple Ricks.
Fuck, that's really dark. I love the fact that one in charge of the factory just looks like Willy Wonka, and they don't really reference it. It's just there he is. He's Willy Wonka. Of course he is.
Ricky Ronka.
Ronka.
That Doctor Who Comic Con stuff was interesting. Really looking forward to seeing what John Bishop does. Well, he just does John Bishop, doesn't he?
Did you see the cast photo that the BBC officially put out this week?
Nice.
I like the vibrant colour scheme. I love that Yaz looks how I feel about it, which is, good God, why can't it just be me and her for a series?
Yeah.
Again, no shade to John Bishop. I'm sure he's going to blow me away and I'm going to love him. But, the end of last series I was like, oh my God, this is going to be interesting. A whole series where it's just 2 female leads for the first time in the show's history. This is going to be so cool. What's this teaser playing after the episode ends? Wait, what? Oh, yeah, I mean, good for John Bishop, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
right.
so Yaz in this promo picture is she just looks annoyed.
Yeah, she's like, such a cock blocker, John Bishop.
You and Quatermass are a bunch of cock blockers.
But only days later, I'm really disappointed that Jodie and Chibnall are leaving. The 6th Years doesn't need to be a multi-Doctor story, but could have been a fun regeneration story. I mean, we still don't know what we're going to get. Strange to think by the end she'll be the 3rd or 4th longest serving Doctor despite having fewer stories than we're used to.
Yep, she will be. Oh, we talked about this, didn't we, on a previous episode? She will be, if you count the beginning and the end of a tenure, not with giant gaps. So you can't count Sylvester and McGann.
Yeah.
Jodie will be the 2nd longest serving actor in the role.
And I honestly think
which is mad.
The worst thing about this sort of period of Doctor Who has just been the fact that they have not been able to get their shit together production-wise. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
And obviously some of that stuff's out of their control, what are you going to do about the pandemic? Fucking, it is what it is.
Yeah, they adapted, but they also then went back on it. Because we were told it'd be a reduced series of 8 episodes, and then the Comic-Con announcement is a series of 6 interconnected episodes.
But even before that, it was taking so long to turn around the shows.
I mean, it started in Moffat's era, didn't it?
Yeah, it started.
Season breaks, which kind of worked it for Series 6 was broken in half, but both halves went out in 2011. And then Series 7, half of it went out late 2012, but then the rest went out in 2013 with also 2 specials, the 50th anniversary stuff. So it was we kind of gave it leeway. We were like, fair enough, you're building up to a big year.
They did also kind of feel like 2 separate mini-seasons.
Yeah, there was a thematic kind of divide.
So that worked quite well.
Plus the Snowmen was a pretty fun Christmas special as well. I really like the Snowmen.
Yes.
But then since it's been Series 8 1 year, Series 9 later the year after that.
Yeah, it's
then
the time
fuck
of year,
all for 2 years except a Christmas special, 2 Christmas specials, and then Series 10, and then we sort of get back to 1 a year, but not really. And it's
the time of year it's been on has been all over the place. The time slot's been all over the place. The days change. It's just been a fucking mess.
Yeah.
So even though I think the writing has gotten a lot better, and I really like the stories.
I love the guest writers. I think the guest writers have given some really interesting scripts this past couple of years.
It's just the production has hampered it so much.
Well, the next Doctor better be female, or I'm fucking kicking off, because I do not want Jodie to be the girl Doctor.
Yeah.
You have to establish that it is now open season, but to establish that, we're going to make sure it's this one type going forward.
Yeah.
And then after that, you open the playing field to every possible comer.
Oh.
Spelt Comer. Pronounced Jizz.
Jodie Comer.
What? I did not just say her name is Jodie Jizz. But now that I've said that, what a great band name. Jodie Jizz and the Cumrags. Can that be our band? Jodie Jizz and the Cumrags. You're right. We can't put that on t-shirts. Jodie jizz in the skeet blankets. Jodie jizz in the crusty socks.
Bye.
What?